What's up to all our sidekicks and hedge folk out there, the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert, episode 757, wherein we shall, in the immediately near future, review this past week's comics, a couple of them, as well as some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia, PA. It's a comic shop. You should come to it and then give me your money and then leave. And then I will stay here with your money and count it, and you will leave with comics and you will read those comics. And that's how it works. This is the part of the script where Noel writes anything and I will read it out loud. Insert funny jokes here. ... Pause for comedic effect. ... feign canned laughter, quote, ha, 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 sigh, end quote, catch breath, parentheses, ... anyway, period. Joining me tonight is Brian Lieb. Which fictional comic character would make the best roommate and why?
Which fictional comics character would make the best roommate?
Hey, I have to put so many specifics and questions to him.
That's good.
So it has to be a fictional character, not like Oppenheimer in Manhattan Projects.
Yeah.
It has to be fictional.
And we can get into a whole debate.
It is a fictional version of that character, right?
Exactly.
But it's an easy road to cross, but I don't know if Brian's ever going to cross it, depending on how he wants to answer a question.
You never know. So you're wise to do that stuff. Let's see. So there's like two ways you could go, right? Like who would be like a super fun, chill roommate, or who would be just like a very useful roommate to have around. Let's see. Like Brainiac 5, I feel would be super useful roommate, or like super intelligence, right? It's an excellent what if I had a superpower pick. So the roommate,
Would you be afraid of Brainiac 5 constantly undermining your decisions because he knows more about something?
Ooh,
I'll tell you what.
Like that would be the most passive-aggressive fucking roommate in the world. Like,
Brian, are you gonna put garlic in that? You're gonna, you're gonna put like that much garlic in. Like,
is his
not
12th level intellect right about
but he
all
also
those
has
things?
he also has complete understanding and history of the future events. So, like, you want to have a piece of pizza. He's like, it might not be the best decision in 30 years. Like, it would just be a
because he knows all about my life. I am, of course, important enough that they know all about me.
He's a goddamn intellect or artificial intelligence in physical form.
Biological.
I think he could, but all right. I mean, he's what is it, class 10 or intelligence?
12th level intellect, I believe.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if he's gonna choose to live with you, he knows everything.
That's a good
about
point.
you.
That's a really good point. But is he right about all those things? Right? It's an interesting debate, right? Like, would you be ruled over by somebody who is smarter and more capable than you, and all their decisions are always better than the ones that you would make otherwise? Why not?
I'm sorry. I'm catching up on the comments. Mars Comic says, I'm already missing Len.
1 minute after our sign on time. Yeah.
Yowza!
I mean, me too.
To be fair, we're all missing Len.
Yeah, I choose to look at that in a positive way. Like, we would want him. And who would be fun, right? Like Elongated Man, or who would be just like a super chill guy to hang out with all the time? Or
Plastic Man would be more fun than Elongated Man. And I think on the week, you know what? I'm gonna go Ted Cord Blue Beetle.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Only because it'd be fun all the time, and on weekends he would invite Booster Gold over, and you'd have just enough of Booster Gold because by Sunday you want him to get the fuck out.
Yeah, I can see that. And could I also say hello, Carls? It's awesome that we're now at this time, and you can catch us live.
Join us
once again.
Hi, Carls and Jane Douglas.
Yes. I don't know Jane Douglas, but I'm perfectly happy to say hello to Jane Douglas.
Also, Robert Monroe Jr. Mars says he was the cool dude. We lost the cool factor.
Also,
the last comment, I'm already missing Len. We could have interpreted either as negatively or positively on the three of us. This one is very specifically, you guys suck. Len was the good one. No, I don't have to worry about it. Now I know what they meant.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Who would you choose to, or JD? Who would you hang out with?
Yeah, JD.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to think of who is morally bankrupt enough,
Huh. I really thought you were going to go the
but
other way on that one.
but also powerful enough
Yeah.
to make us both rich. So like, I need somebody who knows time travel, and would be willing to give me the lotto ticket numbers. You know what I mean?
Or what about a Firestorm type?
In a
who
heartbeat.
just make a bunch of gold.
Booster Gold.
Well, then why? But why is he already rich? You know what I mean? Yeah. I think those.
But I also don't want to hang out with Booster Gold for too long. Like, he's definitely one of those guys that you're like, you're great in doses, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got like super bro energy, which is fun on like odd days, but not.
What about somebody who can make any element, right? Like a firestorm, or somebody who can just like make you a bunch of gold and stuff.
I feel like he would.
Oh shit!
I always run very warm, so I worry that my home would always be very
too hot.
Well, that's a good point.
All that open flame.
Yeah,
exactly.
All that head on fire.
right. And even if you knew it wasn't going to be a problem,
deal breaker.
You'd always be like, hang on a second.
I feel like if your entire existence as a superhero is always an open flame, I feel like it's more of a hazard, and my insurance rate will just be
I can see that.
Absolute shit.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that can give you powers?
Ooh.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sweet.
Noel's also here.
Oh yeah, hi.
Hi, Noel.
That's who that was.
Anyway, thank you to everyone joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And also put in the comments, who would be your ideal fictional superhero roommate? Well, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't have to be a fictional superhero. Yeah. A fictional comic book character.
But probably not somebody like the Joker. You know, you need more hero than that.
You have a death wish at that point. Also, in the comments, if you could, mention just explicitly how much cooler Len is, and or how much worse this is going to be without
sans Len.
Specific degrees of unenjoyment, discouragement, just the whole nine.
What's everyone drinking tonight? Robert Monroe Jr. Asks. I'll tell you, Bud Light Lime.
I'm not gonna speaking of cool points, I don't think either of us have cool points because I'm drinking hard cider right now.
Oh,
nice.
It just
cider's awesome.
I see that it's unfiltered.
Oh yeah, it's real boss ass hard cider.
Stuff.
This is essentially, in my youth, I would have considered this like the same level as like wine coolers, just like real easy as shit to drink.
You know what? I recently learned that as wine was to the Europeans when they couldn't just drink the water, cider was to the Americans, and that's what Johnny Appleseed was all about. They don't teach you that shit in school, but that's why he was planting apples everywhere. Because
he was trying to get everyone drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Because he'd like to party.
Hal says, pour a little out for Len, ... miss him. I won't do that because then I have to clean up my store.
Yeah, we're all indoors. And I didn't
I got beer on my...
Waste not, want not. He'd understand.
I'm going to grab a cider of my own real quick.
Now, wait a minute. Actually, no one has ever said that I can't pour one out into another cup.
Nobody said
there you go. That's for Len.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if anything was in that cup or not. It'll still taste like Bud Light Lime. Can I tell you a side quest or like a completely unrelated to this? Yeah, I want to talk about a side quest. So in planning the wedding and the alcohol choices and stuff, we never talked about it as to what kind of beer is going to be there. It's just beer. And the after only meeting with this person like once, the caterer came up to us while we were going through the walkthrough, and she was like, "Look, I looked at the list and it doesn't feel like you." I was like, "What do you mean?" It was Bud Light, Miller Lite, and Michelob Ultra. I was like, "That's all the same beer. It's all of it. It's all the same beer. That's all water, and it's all terrible." She's like, "I know. I looked at you two, and I was thinking you'd want something that actually has flavor." I was like, "Good." So then we had to pick a bunch of other things, but yeah.
Was it just somebody else that got mixed up?
No, that was like the base package that they just penciled this in for, and the caterer was like, "Oh no, this isn't gonna fly." So you guys are gonna get good beer.
Sweet.
Nice. Also, you know what? Down below, I also would like to know. Bud Light Lime is gross, but I don't judge, says Hal. You just did. You could have just not typed.
I feel the same way, Hal.
It's at least a judgment of Bud Light Lime.
I feel the same way. Yeah. I'm not yucking your yum, but I don't like it as a product.
I like anything lime flavored. I'm just a sucker for lime flavors and pumpkin flavors. So I'll drink it. All right, let's get this show on the road, mother lovers. Also, comment down below because I'm curious. Halloween Kills came out last week, and I haven't had a chance to I was kind of hoping Nolan and I would do a podcast about it, but then we didn't because I never broached the subject.
We can make him suffer.
Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of Halloween Kills. Anthony D's here. Hey guys, made it to the live show. Welcome, brother.
Dune. Did anyone else watch Dune but me?
No, nope. Not yet. Yeah.
Oh well, then forget it.
I'm quite excited to, but can't come.
I actually would
I'm surprised you haven't watched it yet, Brian.
I was debating to go to the movies or not to go to the movie. To watch it here on HBO Max. My girlfriend was interested in going to the movies, but I didn't want to go on opening weekend or Friday night or that kind of thing. And it seems like a big screen, expansive experience.
We opted to watch it here, but I kind of gave house rules. Lights off, no screens. We put our phones away and just
not even the television screen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no additional screens, and then kept the lights, and we committed to actually watching it without pausing it or being distracted.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it worked. It was really great.
That's another good way to go. And that might end up being what happens. But yeah, hopefully by next week or maybe the week after, I'll have seen it.
All right, let's talk about some comic books. And we're going to start with Catwoman, Lonely City, #1 from DC Comics. It is their newest Black Label offering. Black Label, of course, for anyone who doesn't know, are usually slightly oversized, sort of mass-sized publications, and are for a more adult audience, an older audience, 17 plus. So that's what we're going to be discussing. Let's see what what's it called? The thing I'm going to read?
Solicitation?
The solicitation. Because I'm used to saying this is what Diamond had to say, but they don't. It's not Diamond anymore.
I don't say jack shit.
10 years ago, the massacre known as Fool's Night claimed the lives of Batman, the Joker, Nightwing, and Commissioner Gordon, and sent Selina Kyle, the Catwoman, to prison. A decade later, Gotham has grown up. It's put away costume heroism and villainy as childish things. The new Gotham is cleaner, safer, and a lot less free, under the watchful eye of Mayor Harvey Dent and his Bat Cops. It's into this new city that Selina Kyle returns, a changed woman, with her mind on that one last big score. The secret's hidden inside the Batcave. She doesn't need the money. She just needs to know who is Orpheus. So I was very excited about this. It sort of came out of nowhere, and I saw that Cliff Chiang was going to be writing and drawing this Catwoman series, which from the cover, very clear, it's an older Catwoman, which we've already seen very recently in the Batman Catwoman series from Tom King.
And probably also Catwoman Future State, if there was, I don't remember if she made any appearances.
I didn't read that one, but yeah. So I was like, oh, this feels very familiar. But I was like, Cliff Chiang, who, if you don't know who Cliff Chiang is, he did my all-time favorite Wonder Woman run. He drew it with Brian Azzarello on writing duty. And he also did Paper Girls with Brian K. Vaughan, another very good series. So I was very excited about this. And I don't think it disappointed. I'm a little tired of Batman, but I'm not yet tired of the Batverse. I'm not tired of the side characters, Catwoman. I'm excited for the Robins series, which is coming up. Something I've been clamoring for like 10 years to just give me a comic book with all the Robins together. So I still like spending time in that universe. And I'm always kind of curious about future Gotham stories. I don't think I particularly cared too much about the Future State version of Gotham, But this one I'm enjoying. Bat Cops notwithstanding. I think it's kind of interesting that Two-Face is actually turned over a new leaf and is actually working for the betterment of Gotham City because of his relationship. So it seems with Bruce. And you know what? I hope it's true.
Yeah.
We have seen this. We have seen this time and time again where Two-Face is like, I've turned over a new leaf. Psych. You know,
I mean,
so it would be nice. It would be different if it actually worked this time.
It's the last page. He pretty much confirms it's not altruistic.
Wait, what?
What happened on the last page?
The end of the book, he's like,
what happened on the last page? The end of the book.
Yeah, well, in the end of the book, like he's talking with, you know, the commissioner and blah, blah, blah. And essentially they released her to set up something and they're either going to kill her or she's going to get caught. Like there is a grand plan that is not happy and Two-Face is explicitly a part of it.
I'm sorry. That doesn't mean he's not working for Gotham. That means he's not above betraying an old.
I guess so. I did like in the way that it's presented in the narrative with Selena being our protagonist. It sets him up as a villain. So I don't know. Maybe it'll turn.
And he does come off as kind of. I was about to say two-faced, but but not on purpose. But he does come off as like a bit like slick, like more slick than an altruistic guy. But I'm with you, JD. I'd really like to see. Yeah. It would be more interesting at this point if he was actually on the up and up, at least by his own standards.
They set him up as the main protagonist of this book. I don't know who else it'll be. Like they introduced two other older villains, but the main protagonist is the bad cops and the authoritative state of safe Gotham, and that's the avatar of that is Harvey Dent.
Yeah, fair enough. What did you guys think of it, Noel?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. It was really nice. I too am also tired of Batman books, but not tired of like I reserve that from Black Label. Like I don't think that there's not good stories to be told or being told in regard to Batman. I really not enjoying the like in continuity stuff or the deluge of in continuity stuff. Like there's 3 or 4 Bat books a week.
Yeah.
But this was wonderful. And also too, like I don't like Cliff Chang can announce that he's doing like an illustrated phone book and I buy it.
Yep.
I've always loved his art. I've never read anything that he's written, and I was pleasantly surprised how smooth this was and how like fully realized it was. A lot of times artists, even though they are natural storytellers, aren't necessarily as strong with dialogue, and there was literally no hiccups in this book. I thought it was wonderful.
Nice. Brian.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot.
I liked it too. I agree with Todd Engel and you, JD. I was like, upon opening the book, I was a little like, what's different about this one than the other ones? The Batman Catwoman, from what I've read on the show, has been really cool. And for whatever reason, I was just like, oh, future Gotham, older, bad knees protagonists are, like a little done. I don't know that this book overcame that completely. That is also not necessarily the fault of this book itself. Like maybe it should just be judged on its own merits. And it was enjoyable. I don't think there was anything that I've never seen before in this. Nothing like startlingly original. Although one thing that I haven't seen before is possibly the animated series costume in a comic for Catwoman, which I thought was a cool choice. The gray with the like gold circle belt kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, it was an ably done future where things have gone wrong kind of story. Something happened to Batman, that kind of thing. So nothing about this book made me really think like, oh, I've gotta see the next parts of this story. But if you are interested in Catwoman, it's a cool Catwoman story. And if you like future Gotham, where things are even worse than regular Gotham, it's a cool story.
I also too this is not dissimilar from the future state stuff and the magistrate stuff that Tynion is doing in the Batman book, but this is less. it's weird like that. They approach the idea of a police state in that as these nefarious oppressors and oh shit and oh it's future garbage and everyone's gonna die by the hands of authority. This is Gotham is safe. Just be chill about it. Like it's introduced or it's presented in a much more passive, but that also could mean a false sense of security kind of way, which works better for me.
Now I'll tell you, just because
being
of the
beaten over the head with fascism, right?
Just because of maybe like the coding of years of stories or my personal viewpoints on heavily armored police, I just saw these guys, having taken the bat symbol armored cops, and I was like, bad guys. Those are the fascist bad guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. But for some reason, even though like they check the same boxes, the way it's presented over in the Batman books in kind of like an edgelordy, dark neon kind of way, versus here, where a good chunk of the city is benefiting from this level of force, and they don't shy away from that. So it's a much more morally complicated story point, which I appreciate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It has a lot of 80s future in it too. I did not notice that before, JD. Captain Cold Brew.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah. I didn't notice that when I read through it the first time.
I love that panel.
Isn't this great?
Like, you know, yeah. There's
what are you, a criminal?
Things in here.
And Cliff Chang did a great job with the writing. Like so many times, artist has started writing, and I'm like, I don't know. But this was excellent. I really enjoyed this all the way through.
I love Black Label books, man. I mean, there's only been one so far that I couldn't stand and dropped, and that was
Damned.
No, Reptilian.
Oh God, right.
Yeah. I read all of Damned because like the idea too is like if you're not vibing with the story, it's only 3 issues. So like I think it was Superman Year One was very weak. But it was it was fun talking about it because it was so fucking weird. Like at least there was that. Damned was just, I mean, it was cookie cutter you took all of Azzarello Bermejo tropes from the 5 other stories they've done together and just shook it and tossed it on the ground, and it was Damned. Like there was nothing new or precious about that story. But so far everything else other than Reptilian has been just a nice consolidated breath of fresh air or something interesting or something fascinating that has an ending, and it's great.
I think that's similar to DC's apparent initiative in general, that they are doing a lot of self-contained, like in their regular lines, like self-contained miniseries explorations of a particular idea that comes to a close, and then they do the next thing.
The I know you're referring to like the Shazam miniseries and the Blue and Gold miniseries. And stuff. I'm not reading those, or in so much as I guess they just don't have the same kind of shine for me as a lot of these prestige Black Label books. Because also too, most of the Black Label books are offering a different style of the format too.
True.
Which gives it a little bit of extra prestige. And I don't know. I appreciate this product.
Nice.
Agreed. I also like this little back and forth between Selena and Barbara, where Selena's like 10 years in Blackgate was no game, and she's like, let's not compare scars. Like, oof, youch. So yeah, this was great. I can't wait for more. I don't know if it's going to be like a lot of the Black Label books, which is 3 issues and done, but I wouldn't mind a longer run on this.
I think it's 3 or 4, and it's bi-monthly.
Okay.
So like the issue 2 is coming out. I think it's in the January solicitations. So like
I think
December.
Wonder Woman Dead Earth was another Black Label.
Oh, that was great.
That's just, and that was only 4 issues, and it was wonderful. Yeah. Like I love these explorations of the characters that are outside of, and I think a lot of people have the incorrect presupposition that like, well, if it's Black Label, it's got to be dark and it's got to be this. I'm like, no, these are actual explorations of the character. Sometimes, because it's adult oriented, someone will say shit or fuck.
Right.
or you'll see violence, but so far none of them have been like a betrayal of what these characters are, even though they are darker stories. So, you know, learn something, Zack Snyder.
Oof.
They also are, Black Label took the place of Vertigo.
Yeah.
But also can include DC heroes, which Vertigo never really could.
There is, like, with this new sales model and their, new AT&T parent company and stuff, that is still lacking. The corporate-backed original stories that were under the Vertigo banner. Yeah. Now we're getting Vertigo quality, but it's explicitly DC characters. Yeah. So, like, we get it, but we aren't getting the new out of nowhere Why the Last Man's or Prometheus or, Lucifer's that don't have explicit IP attached to them. They're just fresh stories. The closest we're getting is, and we'll talk about it a little later today, is the imprints, like the Hill House stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those are even trying to be published at DC. I have no idea. But are they, going into more creator-owned avenues?
I don't know.
But although there is the Dreaming Waking Hours, speaking of Lucifer, which is amazing.
I don't count that anymore.
Because it's already
25 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago, Sandman was revolutionary. Sure. Now it is a presents banner that is on anything tangentially related, and people will immediately buy it.
Oh, for sure. But it has it holds up in the way that Lucifer does to Sandman. It feels in the same universe. You know what I mean?
We're not even talking about like quality. I just mean I don't hold it in the same regard of new original things coming out now, because now it is an established IP, and it's only going to get more popular now, right? Because the show's coming out and the radio play is the bee's knees and shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to Thor, number 18 from Marvel Comics, written by Danny Cates, with art by Pasquale Ferry and Bob Quinn. Meet Asgard's new master of spies, Throg. After the events of Revelations, Thor, and I'm assuming they mean from the Bible, Thor has a top secret mission that only one trusted ally can carry out. Throg, the Frog of Thunder. I'm going to admit something here, and that is, I never quite knew Throg's deal. Like, I knew that at one point there was a Frog of Thunder, there was a frog version, and I didn't know if it was that the Odinson had been transformed magically into a frog, and he was just a frog for a little while. Or what? I didn't know.
Too, I believe. What? I think that might have been one of those, like, it happens in one way and people liked it so much, so they found another way to do it. Oh. I think that the original stuff was Thor turned into a frog. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look it up because I also don't know.
Because his hammer is a splinter of Mjolnir, which I was like, wait, cool. So Mjolnir just kind of breaks a little bit, and it also breaks into exact smaller replica, like a fractal Mjolnir.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But luckily, the first page of this says, Simon Walterson was once a football player with a tragic past who got magically transformed into a demigod of small amphibious stature. But don't let this fool you, for he is Throg, the Frog of Thunder, and possesses all the powers and abilities of the mighty Thor himself. So I was like, great. Thank you, Marvel. I had no idea about the frog, where he came from or what his deal was. There he is. Now, my one question about this. So, okay, first things first. This was delightful. Yeah. This was wonderful. I really like this. First question being, do you guys, when reading the Thor comic books these days, do you hear Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston? Do you hear the voices as you're reading it? Do you do their voices in your head?
Tom Hiddleston, yes. Hemsworth, no, not really.
Okay.
Like, just any authoritative voice kind of goes in with a British accent or British adjacent accent goes to Thor, whereas I do hear Tom Hiddleston. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Okay, so yeah, this was great. I haven't read this run of Thor since they were dealing with his alter ego, Donald Blake, which I thought was a really cool way to deal with that character. but for some reason, I haven't been able to keep up. So dip back into this just because we were doing it for the show. Very happy to do so. So when I was done, I was like, that was fucking delightful. I'm glad I read that. It's just as good as it's always been this run. So yeah, I thought it was great. One thing though, Simon Walterson, which also cute Walt Simonson.
Yeah.
Right. Simon, who's Thor creator.
Also, only one. So I looked it up, and he is only one of 2 homages. There is also a Simon Walters in Thor mythology, who was like an alter ego for Beta Ray Bill for a while, apparently.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
Nice.
But yeah.
So anyway, the thing I was trying to get to was this character. He doesn't seem concerned with ever changing back into the football playing human. He talks like he's always been a frog, and he's a frog, and he hangs out with amphibians in the swamp.
Yeah.
That's his whole deal. And it seems to me like he'd be like, I would very much like to have a football body back, please. And he's just like, nah, I'm cool.
I wonder if he transforms the way that it does, right? But like Thor used to transform. Does he have the ability to, like, when he goes back, can he become human again? Or is he just just not interested at all? Like he's Throg, you know?
Yeah, I got the impression he's not interested at all.
Yeah.
Or it's also the kind of transformation that was like Blake to Thor, whereas they are completely different people, even though they're the same person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could have sworn he was just a frog that was empowered at one point in continuity, but I guess not. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The only time I've ever read Throg was a Pet Avengers run with art by Ig Guara, and I think it was written by like Zeb Wells or something.
That tracks.
And it was surprisingly delightful. Like the art was fantastic. So that this whole issue was almost like a side story that is the assembling of Pet Avengers. I was like, I'm so fucking down.
Yeah.
I'm so down. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was cheering by the end of this.
Yeah.
He's like, I will need to assemble my team. I'm like, who's that? Who's your team?
Tell us more. You delightful little thing.
I love the way also that he was like, oh, no, Thor. I was telling you about the team that I assembled.
Yeah,
and
I did that. Yeah, I already assembled them.
Yeah.
He's like, let me tell you about how goddamn badass I am. Yeah, no, I adored this issue. I have been reading this as going, and it's been a very, very serialized book. So, every week it comes out, it's like, well, it'd be great to talk about, but I know that the guys aren't up to date. So it's just, But then this one is presented. It's still serialized. This is still the middle of an arc, but this is presented almost as a side story, setting up another arc later down the road where he needs a little spy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, this would be a perfect jumping on point to get their opinion on this book. And it's wonderful. I loved this.
Also, there's a line in here that I loved, a very low key line. Something like, pour the meat, I'm scheming. Like he finally gets it in his head to be like, wait, you need somebody small who can like get in and out. You can't use me as a spy because I'm famous. Everyone knows who I am. I'm Tom fucking Hiddleston. So, damn you, well played. Pour me a drink. I'm plotting.
Yeah.
Great line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this, the way that who's the artist?
This is Pascal Ferry. The first one is Pascal Ferry.
The way that he shows Thor there too, like he knew exactly what he was doing. He's like, no, I'm not going to use you. I just need your head. I need you to come up with a plan. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I like the turn too of just like in modern comics since the popularity of Tom Hiddleston, and maybe even a little bit before the Avengers movies, of Loki being not a villain always, I like that direction for it to go. It's a little closer to actual mythology too, but I just think they're a cooler pair than they are antagonists.
He's And so long as I've been reading comics, he's always been kind of chaotic neutral. Not a villain and also not a good guy, just kind of in it for himself, is an ally if it benefits, and or so like his sin is actually more nuanced than picking the right or wrong side. Even during all of like what was it, Siege, where he was essentially a bad guy on the wrong side of everything, but at the end of it was just like, oh well, shit, this has gone too far, and makes the right choice. So it's to him, I think it's always about like just tipping the scales in a direction so much as being a villain.
Is Siege about when the turn started, though? You know, like, is that roughly when he started to? Yeah.
Yes, at least in modern comics, because he sacrificed himself to win the day against the Void, and was reborn in France as a child, and Thor essentially adopted him.
Okay, right.
So like,
because he used to be just like,
after that was him.
I'm evil because I love evil. You know.
Oh, I mean, like, I guess so. Like, you know, early 60s and 70s stuff, just like mustache twirly. Yeah. Because even the beginning of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers, Loki's the main antagonist, but then it's revealed at the end that he's the main antagonist in order to like set along a series of events that will steel up the Avengers to be able to handle what's coming. So it's more like plotting.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, in Universe X, which is out of continuity, alternate future story, but just like Throg having kind of a trial run, thinking back, that might be the first place that I noticed him casting off his villainous sides, because that was the deal with the Asgardians, was that they were whatever people believed them to be, and he's like, I don't want that I don't want to be bad just because you think I'm bad, and was one of the protagonists for the later part of the story, as I recall.
This is a great book.
Yeah, this is great. Kevin had commented, I've gone my entire 36 years never reading Thor. Should I? Kevin?
Yes.
Read it. I went also probably about 36 years having not read Thor. And it wasn't until like J. Michael Straczynski that I read a little bit of Thor, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. I like J. Michael Straczynski's run. But it didn't really wow me. I was just like, oh, this is enjoyable. This is fun. The one that wowed me was the Jason Aaron run on Thor, and that is currently being prepared to be a omnibus, which is coming out very, very soon. You go to your local comic shop and pick up the Jason Aaron Thor omnibus. Highly recommend it.
March, I think.
Is it March?
I personally would start with this one. You know, the first volume of this and the second volume of the trades are out.
So I was going to say, the cool thing about Thor, even all of these modern runs, there are like 17 jumping on points.
Yeah.
Like Jason Aaron's run was segmented in such a way that they had like 4 jumping on points baked in. Like you had just the first 25 issues which was a very explicit story about
it was Thor, the God Butcher, right?
Yeah,
the God Butcher and the God Bomb.
And then it gets rebooted. The same storyline, just like new #1 rebooted into kind of the Jane Foster era. And then it gets rebooted again during the War of the Realms, and then it gets but it was like 5 to 6 years of ongoing stories, and he explicitly baked in a bunch of jumping on points for people that had heard and like, oh, I'll jump in here. It's one of the best runs in modern comics.
Now, to be fair, just to offer, I didn't like it. I didn't like his run.
You didn't get past the God Butcher stuff because
I read. Did I read some of the Jane Foster stuff? I don't think so. It looked cool from the outside, but no, I didn't get past the God Butcher stuff. I didn't like how he handled the Thor character. I just didn't think it wasn't my cup of tea.
We've talked about this, and I think it's explicitly your baggage in regards to how much you understand about Norse mythology.
Jason Aaron kind of bothers me as a writer, to be honest with you.
Really?
In what way?
Yeah.
Wow.
He says things that are phrased as though they are wise, and they are not. And I don't like that. Or smart, and they are not. And like I remember in one of our early podcasts, he said something like, it was in the future, and one character was saying to, I think, Thor's granddaughter, like, you've read enough stories to know that they always start at the beginning or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's phrased like a smart thing to say, but how many stories was that? 1, 2? Well, of course they start at the beginning. You know what I mean? And he just doesn't grab me as a writer, to be honest. I've yet to read something of his that I'm like, ooh, that was good.
Okay.
I'm open to it, but no, that was part of it. No, you're not wrong. Like some of that I read and I was like, this doesn't ring mythological to me. You know, this rings like almost like the street version of Thor for whatever reason, you know?
I mean,
and I want mythological Thor. I like it when Daredevil goes mythological, not when Thor goes street level. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just not my jam. Now, that being said, Kevin, you know, like if that kind of thing sounds like your jam, like these guys love it and, you know, give it a shot. But I really like the Straczynski run and I really like this run too.
Yeah. That actually tracks, Brian, because I don't care about mythological Thor. I like more street level Thor, so maybe that's why I enjoy it so much.
Maybe so.
You know,
yeah.
Throughout the decades, I've tried Thor, and I'm like, verily and nay. I say thee nay, and I'm like, this is not enjoyable for me to read.
I'm like, say it,
like
man.
it.
Say thee nay.
I like it when it's juxtaposed against. So like, I don't need you to dumb down Thor, but I just don't want everything around him to be elevated. I like the juxtaposition and the inherent drama of fish out of water or vice versa. That's like what I enjoy. And in this current run, the Donny Cates run, he's putting Thor in uncomfortable situations, just starting with the continuity makes him king. He is the king of the 9 realms. So right off the bat, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And then it just escalates from there. So I enjoy that kind of drama, not just a rehash of allegory in literary sense.
You know, I'm changing my mind. Kevin, don't start with the Jason Aaron run because that is 6 years of book to read. It's a lot of book. This is me holding all the books. Maybe just jump in with the first volume of this Donny Cates Thor, where he's going up against, he's hanging out with Galactus and stuff happens. Maybe just try that out and see if you like that one volume. It's only like maybe 5 or 6 issues.
You know, Thor was one of the first places, if not the first place, that I took note of Matt Fraction. He did it was like a painted kind of retelling of actual Norse myths with the view, you know, like Loki was dressed in green and yellow kind of thing. And it was really cool. But it occurs to me something that has gotten left out of Thor, maybe since Walt Simonson, is Thor is a high-tech kind of science-y myth kind of thing that Kirby introduced that I think they do in the movies. It's not something I miss. It's just now that we're talking about it, it's cool. You know, it's a cool thing.
That is all of Matt Fraction's arguably unsuccessful run on the book. Because and it's funny too because one of the main artists was Pasquale Ferry, who worked on this. Who worked on this book? He explicitly. This was I think he took over the book after Straczynski and after Siege. So and I remember him saying specifically he wanted it to feel Steranko and Kirby-esque with the crackle and the sci-fi kind of. It's not mythology so much as just magic you don't understand, which is their technology kind of thing, which is something that the movies have taken over. And that's the run where it's young Loki and then Kieran Gillen as Todd brings up. That's the Journey into Mystery run also. Like that whole era is the bridge between MCU style and old school like Steranko style that just by the time Jason Aaron came to take over the book, he went backwards in time and told a young brash Thor story about Gore to switch it up because it was 3 years.
I was really excited for that too. I was like, "Oh, this looks cool."
How much of it did you just read the first like 6? Because I don't know. Even the way that story kind of wraps up with you have 3 different versions of Thor working
3
together.
time traveling Thors. Yeah, man. I'm a sucker for that.
I mean? I love it. I love that kind of stuff.
It was King Thor, current Thor, and young Thor fighting together. Like it was just it got so sci-fi wild towards the end.
Maybe I should give it another chance. I mean, if we did it for book club, I'd keep an open mind.
Okay.
25 issues of it. Yeah.
Yep. We're doing the Omnibus Book Club. Everyone has to buy a copy from me.
That or even the Jane Foster stuff. You know, I mean,
Oh, yeah, that was good.
I remember the art looked really cool, but I would
Russell Dowderman.
I'd go on your guys' recommendation, give it a second shot.
Nice.
I hear I hear the dime store wisdom of Jason Aaron comment. It's true. And he did cut his teeth a lot with crime stories like Scalped and Men of Wrath and stuff. So his jumping on point, or at least his like wheelhouse in Southern Bastards, is ignorant people sharing their wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's very much a trope in a lot of his creator-owned stuff, and maybe that did bleed a little into his early Marvel work.
Could be, and that's the kind of thing I wouldn't rag on.
I'm blinded by it at this point.
What's that?
I'm a little blinded by it at this point, though, because I've enjoyed so much of his work thus far. So it's like, oh, that's a Jason Aaron trope. That's fine. Same with Bendis. Like when it's just info dumps, it's like, the dialogue's fun. I'm fine. I read it as rat-a-tat 1940s, like he intended. So it doesn't bother me.
And that's one of those things too that it's like maybe like in this case, there's certainly things that I like that people are like, yeah, this thing about it sucks, and I'm like, well, you're not wrong. I just don't care. Because there's all this other stuff that is cool, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe so.
Mars says Sea of Stars is so good. I only read the first issue of that.
I read the first trade, and it's really good. And I think I'm just waiting for so the series ends at like issue 11 or 12. I'm waiting for a hardcover at this point. Like I'm not going to get the second trade.
And then Todd says, did Southern Bastards actually end or just go away unfinished?
It went away unfinished. I think. I know that the first hardcover came out and they've solicited or at least announced the second hardcover coming out at the beginning of next year. And I don't know what it'll collect or if there's more after. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I only read the first volume of it, but I really like it. And Kevin chimed back in. Definitely been meaning to check out Jane Foster stuff, but I'll have to check out the Kate stuff. Just read the first trade. Yeah, it doesn't spoil any of the Jane Foster stuff.
And also, the first trade involves Thor, Herald of Galactus.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's a cool story. Hal 2814, which is how I always say Green Lantern Space Sector, rather than 2814. He says, listen to the Neil Gaiman Norse mythology, you might like Thor.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know if it was just me. I wasn't going to say anything.
It wasn't me.
Oh.
There we go.
We reviewed the first issue of Neil Gaiman Norse mythology in comic book form, and I have not read any anymore.
No,
personally. He's saying he has them and hasn't read them because he pulls it. Because Brian's a Neil Gaiman stan.
And a Norse mythology one too.
Yeah. It's there is no intersection of Venn diagrams. It's just two circles on top of each other when it comes to Norse mythology.
Just circle on
Gaiman,
circle action.
Just circle on a circle. Smash those two fuckers together and put it in my pull box. That's what Brian.
I actually have the Norse mythology book, and I started reading it, and I was like, I already kind of know these stories, so I didn't stick with it.
Question. Completely unrelated to this or the next book. Brian, have you read the American Gods comic book adaptation?
No, I never did. I love the novel, and I forget when the comic adaptation came out, but for whatever reason, I didn't. I didn't pick it up, and I'm not sure why. He's
probably going to go grab a copy.
Probably
only because everyone online is talking about this big slipcase edition of it, and it's a very pretty book. But I'm like, I don't know if I would like the story, and I only watched one season of the show.
Yeah,
never read the books.
Yeah.
When it comes to adaptations in different mediums, then it's always a crapshoot. Do I want to invest in this, right?
And so much of American Gods are like the little little world building stuff he does and the side stories and
Mhm.
not that the side stories take up such a huge part of the book, they're just some of the cool bits. And Neil Gaiman is such a master world builder. With like one sentence he sets up this whole other thing. um, it- his novel, I've heard some people say it's a little slow. The idea of it is really cool. The idea of like the new American gods are like money and
Oh yeah,
technology and whatever. But
I
yeah, would it translate as well to a comic as a novel? Would it be better because you're quicker through it? I don't know.
don't know. Past the premise, I get all that, and like I said, I watched the first season, and I enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
I've not watched any other seasons since. Like it felt like something that wasn't. It felt satisfying, but also not immediate. I need
Yeah.
to finish this. It was just like, oh, that's nice.
It was very
Okay.
atmospheric, very slowly paced. Also, just as somebody who's read the book, that is exactly how I picture Shadow, the main character.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was cool too. And I loved it for those things, and they were bringing this to life. But I could also see why people, especially if they don't know the story, were a little distracted by it, or from it, I should say.
Anyway, sorry about my diversion, JG. Would you like to talk about the next book?
Okay. That next book is Nick's Song Echo, #1, from Marvel Comics, written by Rebecca Roanhorse, with art by Luca Maresca. Straight out of her transformation in Avengers, Echo gets an exhilarating solo series. Against all odds, one of the most powerful entities in the Marvel Universe chose Maya Lopez, a deaf street fighter, as its new avatar. And the burning question on everyone's mind is, why? But Echo is the last person to answer. Still learning her new cosmic abilities and struggling with the Phoenix's overwhelming personality, Echo strikes out to return to her roots. But the reservation has even fewer answers. And where power goes, evil follows. Someone wants Echo to fail and unleash a power only the greatest heroes in history have been able to control. So I did not read any of the Jason Aaron Avengers storyline dealing with the Phoenix Force and how it was like going, like people were fighting in order to take control of the Phoenix Force, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I found out the grapevine that Echo had received the Phoenix Force. And I only read about half of this issue because it was the last on my stack right before we were starting the show, and I wasn't able to finish it. But the one thing I noticed was Echo doesn't really seem like all that
Like Phoenixy?
bothered or excited to have like the entity.
Yeah.
She, at one point, she goes up to the moon. It cuts to her sitting in the moon, hanging out, just having a thought, just thinking her thoughts. And at no point is she like, holy shit, I'm on the goddamn moon. Yeah, I mean, she's a street level character.
Yeah.
And at no point is she like flabbergasted or dealing with the excitement of like these new powers or any of that stuff. So I didn't really have any emotional connection to what was happening on the page. And so when I put it down, I wasn't like, oh no, I can't believe I have to put this down. I wish I had more time to finish it. I was kind of like, I don't know if I really care so much about what's happening. But also, as I previously said, I did not read the storyline that led into this. So that may have already been dealt with. And this is her having come to terms with it and is now just trying to figure out what it means and what to do with it. So what say you, Noel? You're reading that run.
Yeah, in the background of the most recent Avengers run, T'Challa has been obsessed with testing her limits and has been constantly kind of grounding her. And because she doesn't really know how to use the Phoenix Force efficiently, she doesn't overpower him or anything. It's just like, it's essentially like, put me in, coach. And he's like, you're not ready. You're not ready. And they just keep testing her and her limits. So by the time this comes around, it's more along the lines of she's still functioning as a street level hero, how she always has. But when she gets too hype, shit goes big. Like she's just not used to being cosmic level power. And that's pretty much it. So like shooting off to the moon to like be alone. I don't know, like it didn't feel out of place to me because of all those other stories, those little side stories and stuff, or in the background of her, going through tests. I mean, I figure she knows by now that she can breathe in space and is incredibly super fast. So it's like, I want to get away. Not that you don't go to the shore anymore. You just go to the moon. That didn't really bother me that much. But I hear what you're saying if you didn't have any of that precursor.
I also thought the question posed in the solicitation, why, would be real interesting to to get an answer to, and that almost definitely is where they're headed with this.
It won't be issue 1, but yeah,
Right,
I think that's the thrust of this. Like they touched on it a very tiny bit in the Avengers run, and in so much as it's kind of like a hackneyed. That implies. I'm sorry. That sounds negative. It's not hackneyed. It's just a more classic kind of version of those that aren't used to or that don't know power wield it more responsibly because they know what weakness is. It's kind of that type of thing that the Phoenix chose her for.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
and she does not understand that at all. Like she is still like, what the fuck is this in me? I don't move mountains. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because she definitely is not the kind of character that the Phoenix Force has usually inhabited, and is even one of those mutants that's like, you're kind of borderline. She obviously has powers, but she's like mimics other people's non-powered things. Is my understanding of what she can do. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. I didn't see much of it here, but it's, if I was interested enough to stick with it, I wouldn't necessarily hold it against the first issue not having it,
Yeah, this is all set up. All of it. There's no payoff in this issue. And I think it's set up almost exclusively for people that aren't reading Avengers. I mean, it feels like it because it retreads a bit of the logistics. It's just kind of like a quick ramp up.
Well, I think of it also as more of an X-Men book than an Avengers. Like if I didn't know anything about it, so
surprisingly, because
it's Phoenix related. Like that's the big name on the cover, and I imagine that's what they're trying to get.
Yeah, Forge and Brew being a part of it, a big part of it. Right. I was just like, for some reason, even though it's Phoenix, I still wasn't really expecting that, considering I've been reading this all transpire in the Avengers books.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, shit, yeah, of course, duh.
I was also a little bit like, really, Forge? You think you can you take on the Phoenix Force? And he did. And he didn't. It did not work out well.
So on the screen, Todd Engel says, as an old man who read the original Elektra saga, the portrayal of Elektra seems strange. Agreed, but it is current Elektra that tracks.
Right.
Also, this book is what I call candy, fun enough to read, but nothing filling here. I completely agree with that sentiment. There is literally nothing egregious or inorganic or false about this book. It's just it just is not very it doesn't really satiate. It's just not very filling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool.
It's like a side. Cool. It's like a tie-in book to an event, but there's no event.
It feels like a free comic book day issue.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna tell you all of the stuff around the story, and you're gonna like it. Like, so like I would recommend this book for people that are interested in the whole mythology, that think Echo is cool, that have been reading Avengers and want to just know how that plot thread is going, but as like here's this new Hispanic Native American character, go to town. I don't know if it really, it tries to pull that weight, but I don't know if it's successful doing so.
And I think one of its attempts, like you said, is the thing that happens at the end, where like this antagonistic for the like whatever thing is after her, is going to be going through her ancestral line. And I bet that's why Null is like they want to address her ancestry.
Yeah, which again, that just goes back to my interpretation that this entire issue is just stage setting.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no action like this. The second issue will start still in the middle of Act 1.
You know what I think maybe part of the lightness of it is it's Phoenix with a character that probably will not be remaining Phoenix. You know?
Mhm.
I mean, she could for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, they're
yeah.
saying that this is like, I think Jason Aaron had made the comment that, like, you know, when he leaves the books, it's not like he has no control over things, but this should be considered status quo for a while. Same with honestly, Zdarsky said the same thing about Elektra Daredevil. Like, his intention is for her to have the mantle for a long period of time.
No kidding.
You know, in the sliding scale of comic books, maybe it's really just like a year of their time.
Right.
But a couple years of the books, it will
Very
like,
cool.
Elektra will be a Daredevil.
You know, if they're gonna make change, you know, a lot of people bemoan the changes that like these, and I'm fine with them, but as long as you stick with it.
Yeah, tell me a story. Tell me why. Like like I had this argument with somebody online very recently about they were comparing the John Kent stuff with the John Kent bisexual stuff with it was Death of Superman, the Doomsday stuff, and they were referring to both instances as stunts and cash grabs. And I was like, I mean, I don't think you can call anything a publishing stunt unless you have years of hindsight, because it completely takes away any kind of artistry or story or narrative that the actual people creating it want to imbue it with. Like, neither of those two things were mandated by corporate to sell the toys. It was just a byproduct of, we're going to tell this story and you could sell toys with it. Like, it takes any autonomy out of the storytellers by just labeling these things as explicit cash grabs. So yes, a new action figure of Daredevil that is Elektra, of course they're going to capitalize on that. But it was incited by the actual storytellers going this way.
Yeah.
So it's not a stunt.
And to further that point, I mean, you can't even tell great stories where the mandate was make this thing, right? Like Transformers is that entirely. And we love it, you know.
Just labeling these things as like publishing stunts and they're just trying to sell toys. Like, I mean, that's not untrue.
Right.
But it's like one side of the 20-sided die of all of the things that go into this, right? Yes, JD.
My response to that is, who cares? It's comic books. Like, so many stories are stunts. Who cares if it's a stunt? That's what comic books are.
Those, what's a cash grab is every single issue of every comic is produced.
You've ever read.
I'm not talking about. I'm not I agree with you. I'm not talking about the practice of reading comics. I'm talking about using that word as a pejorative.
I'm saying that's my response to that. Whomsoever that is out there making that claim of like, oh, it's a stunt. They're just trying to take money out of your pockets. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. Who cares?
Make something interesting enough that you buy it.
And I want to be entertained by that money spent. So shake shit up. Do something crazy. It's totally fine. And I agree with you originally too. Like, if you're going to make a change to the status quo, I know status quo changes constantly. Just follow through with whatever you want it to do. So like a good example of that working and not working is when Bendis brought like the original 5 X-Men back from the past into the future.
Yeah.
Awesome idea.
Yeah.
Worked for a while. And then there was this weird editorial mandate of like, oh, it's working. We're going to keep him here for a while.
Yeah.
And then he left the book. And you still have these 5 teenager versions of characters that are currently in adults, and they had to figure out a way to put the genie back in the bottle. So like that to me is like not letting, like if Marvel right now, like Zdarsky was just like, oh, we're taking Elektra off the board and she's not going to be Daredevil anymore. Marvel being like, wait, no, she's popular. Write 10 more years of her as this character, just squeeze them out. And it's just like not the intention. that's when it becomes a cash grab or a stunt, when they're not allowed to finish whatever their plans were.
Yes.
Which I think also happened with two of the biggest events in the 90s, one of which you just mentioned, the death of Superman.
Are you going to talk about Armageddon 2000?
No.
It's been a while. I was
going to
take a drink.
Extended.
It's been a while since we brought up Armageddon 2000.
Such a good book, though.
2001.
Yeah. And a year so far in the future, you can't imagine it. Maximum clonage, I think, right? That went on a lot longer than
the Spider-Man clone saga.
Yeah. But Death of Superman, I think, and one of them successfully and the other maybe less successfully. But I think a lot of times, restriction is sometimes the root of creativity, and sometimes restriction is the corporate overlord is like, make this thing, and then you got to find a way to make it cool, And sometimes it's cool. Yeah.
Sandboxes can be a freeing thing.
Yeah.
That was my response to the Superman. Like, this is just like the Superman, Death of Superman thing. You mean like it captured the nation and is universally kind of beloved even 30 years later? Right. People still have fond memories of like the Death of Superman. And like, that was actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think the original comment too, I was just like, well, I mean, every single thing that you purchase and read in form of entertainment at all is designed to attract your eyeballs and open your wallet.
Yeah.
So I mean that, like, just labeling it as only that makes you a victim of all these predatory artists. Like, calm the fuck down. Just calm down. Enjoy it
Kevin,
or don't, or walk away.
Kevin in the comments says, "Does Echo straight up murder fools? Thought she was a hero." Yeah. As you see on the screen here. She straight up murders fools.
She does. Well, the Phoenix is kind of a hard force to contain, right? Because the Phoenix will murder a fool or a non-fool alike, right?
A galaxy.
Maybe that's just done.
Yep.
So maybe that's part of it too. And there's definitely a sense in the book that she, like, right after this scene, she's like, "Oh, I should not have done that."
Whoops.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of where they're headed too, is her finding this balance. Maybe calming the Phoenix down a little bit with her insight. Who knows?
It was a quick death.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So perhaps merciful.
And he was
silver lining. He didn't suffer.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's up?
I'm going to take this opportunity right now to dip into the promo block of the show, wherein I will tell you about liking and subscribing on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook. We stream there as well. If you look up CultPop Podcasts, you can become a patron if you so desire by going to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can help the show out there if you don't have any money, because most of us don't. Because Jeff Bezos has all of it. You can just like and share, talk about the show with your friends, and get other people to hang out with us. Because really, that's the key. Hanging out, talking about comics, and having a laugh is what we're here for. So if that is up your alley and you think it might be up other alleys, then go down those go up those alleys.
Get up in those alleys.
Go up your friends' alleys and tell them about it.
Take the journey
through
your friend's alley to show them the joy that is I Got Nothing.
Tell them that CultPop sent you.
Yeah.
Up that alley.
Up to your alley.
Up that alley.
So for anyone who is newer to the show, we used to do a thing called Thunder Rounds.
Thunder Rounds.
Thank you, Brian. We would do like 60-second reviews, and we would throw them up on YouTube. Ever since 8 months ago when I had a child, I stopped doing them. Noel just got lazy. I don't know what the fuck he's up to, getting married.
I was moving and planning a wedding.
Moving and planning.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we used to do back issue book reports too. You remember that? That was fun.
I do remember the back issue book reports.
Back issue book reports, Thunder Rounds, book clubs,
Masterpiece Theater,
shows, Masterpiece Theater. Yeah. Look, man, we're here.
Yeah. What more do you want?
What do you want from us? Besides,
I bought some dice with letters on them to help us choose the back issue book reports.
Yeah.
And that was the last week that we did that.
It doesn't work if we're not in the same space.
That's
We'd
true.
like to go
That's
through
a good point.
the back issues, you know.
Yeah, being separated
Yeah.
has been something. So anyway, a Thunder Round is heading your way.
Thunder round.
So basically, I'm going to put 60 seconds on my clock while Noel introduces his own Thunder Round.
Thunder round.
Go ahead, Noel.
You're not going to say what the book is? I gotta do
You're
it?
going to introduce it. I'm going to bring up my timer on my watch.
I don't have the solicitation for it, but it's essentially Batman Catwoman #7, written by Tom King and art by Liam Sharp.
If that makes you feel any better, the solicitation isn't on the notes either, so it's not like you're missing out.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't copy and paste it. It's just the
Okay. Well, here, keep vamping for a minute because my watch is being weird.
Oh yeah, sure. So this 7 issues into this book, it has been an incredibly strong Tom King Batman contained story that.
All right, shut
has
up.
Been...
my watch is good now. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to put 60 seconds. Oh no, it stopped. Hold on.
Oh, so it
Okay.
has been telling a story. It has been telling a story in 3 time frames at the same time. And the way to differentiate these time frames is not with captions, but they did it with art. So you seeing older Selena Kyle or Bruce Wayne in a specific suit, and then it just keeps kind of switching between the 3 throughout the course of the book. It has worked so far for 6 issues because of Clay Mann. A fill-in artist has been introduced into the fold, starting with issue 6. So issue 6, 7, and 8 have been being drawn by Liam Sharp. Issue 6 maintained kind of that visual style, essentially just kind of like mimicking Clay Mann's style, and it worked. This is full Liam Sharp with weird fucking proportions and muddy colors, and it ruins this issue.
End of rounds.
End of round.
No, I'm going to keep going. It absolutely ruins this issue in so much as I able to follow the story for 6 fucking issues up until now because it is complicated. Like they do shift time frames and they don't tell you. This is not a book that talks down to you. It very much asks you to do like the extra work, much like a lot of Tom King books do. And a very important piece, which was illustrated, was made very, very aware this week, is in this issue how important the artist was a part of that. And that I know that Tom King is a creator that is incredibly meticulous in regards to, that's not even like just show the Joker. Like there are scenes. Yeah. It's just grotesque edgelord garbage.
It flowed so well. Like you got where were in each time.
That's not even her, like Huntress's like actual design in the other books. Like she's got weird medieval armor on her shoulders and looks like a 7 foot tall monster. Like the journey of this book has been very realized and very it's been very realized and grounded. And that visual style has kept you in line with keeping track of what storyline you're in or what time frame you're in. And this issue goes full stylized. And those transitions become incredibly muddy as to, are we in the past, present, or future?
The style of the story was very like low, not low, but like crime drama, kind of like street level. And slow pace, not slow paced, but you know what I mean.
It was a very methodical book. It's a methodical and rewarding book. But now we're introduced to things like when the Joker's about to kill somebody, his eyes turn red and they become spirals, which is an artistic flourish that doesn't belong in the language of this book. Yeah, because it hasn't been introduced.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm so disappointed.
Like an intimate crime story was the first issues that we've read or that I read.
All of the fill-in artists that you could have gotten to at the very least not making a jarring transition from Clay Mann, because Clay Mann's coming back for the last 3 issues. So it's super stylized But issue 8 is the most recent one. Sorry, is it 8 then? 6,
Yeah, it's
7.
8.
This
Oh,
year.
I'm sorry. Sorry, 8.
Is there any story reason at all that it would be a
No.
different art? Nothing.
Nope.
Why would you do
Not
that?
at all.
I
It's
mean, they
like-
know they're collecting these. You know what I mean? Like for a limited
Any-
series, why would you do that?
I would be fine with it being 3 months fucking late.
Yeah,
Just to
exactly.
keep the artist
Yes.
at this point.
Yes.
Like-
Yes. To throw Liam Sharp on this book after.
It's
I'm
not the
so
right book.
disappointed.
It's like everything has been so very hyper realistic and musculature is very. It's just been top notch gorgeous, and now it is hyper stylized Sam Keith esque bullshit.
It's so
And
90s. It's so 90s
Yeah.
edgelord art.
Yeah.
This was
What a
the absolute
bummer.
worst thing they could have done to this book, and the only reason why I'm staying on it and not like fucking jumping is because I know that Clayman is coming back.
Why would
But it's
you?
so incredibly upsetting.
In like a regular book, like a regular series, if you have a fill-in artist, that's how it is. It's best if it's in between different stories. But in any fill-in artist, why would you ever put them on a limited run prestige? Complete succinct story.
And Todd Ingle mentions Liam Sharp did issue 7 as well, but the art wasn't as much of an issue in that one. I agree. It's like he jumped in and just went off of breakout or breakdowns by Clayman. Honestly, I think that's what happened because it was not Clayman in issue 7, but it was still in the style of the story.
Do you have that?
And we're
JD?
still able to see the transitions, huh?
Oh, I was just seeing if JD had a copy.
It wasn't as egregious. You could tell it wasn't the same artist, obviously, but it wasn't a hyper stylized or a jarring issue. So I do suspect that he was just working off of breakdowns by Clayman to just work with it. But this issue was just full Liam Sharp, and it did not translate whatsoever. It's a sore thumb in the entire series, and it sucks.
Joker with the spiral eyes doesn't seem like he can be the same character that old Selena Kyle met in the like
He's not.
Floridian apartment or whatever.
So that part of the story is in present tense. So the crux of the entire story is the duality of Selena Kyle when she was with and had children and married to Bruce Wayne. Actually, I don't know if they ever got married. Either way, just with each other. She made a promise to never murder or kill. So it shows the old version where as soon as he dies, she goes and takes her revenge on the Joker. But at the same time, they're telling the story of why she chooses and why she holds that grudge.
Right.
So the middle part of the story, the past part of the story is her coming to terms with she no longer belongs to this group. She has a very genial relationship with the Joker. She doesn't fear him, and he finds her humorous. So they often she'll get drunk and go hang out with him. It's almost like you have a problematic former roommate.
Right.
So
you're like, I understand why you don't want to hang out with him, but I'm going to grab a beer.
But I'm cool with him. We understand each other. It's fine.
Yeah.
But they're telling the story. And this is no longer a Thunder Realm. This is me ranting now. They're telling the story.
Thunder rant.
The way that they're telling the story, you're watching in real time. In that past version, you're watching in real time Selena come to terms with the fact that she is no longer on the level of the joke. Like she's no longer a part of his kind of language. She no longer belongs with him. And she's fighting it too, because it shows up a little bit in this book, but like Batman is essentially telling her, like, you can't live in two worlds anymore if you want us to be a real thing. And she's fighting it. She's like, yeah, I fucking can. Watch me do it. But then as the more that she hangs out with the Joker, she's realizing like, oh no, this is gross. This is weird. So it's telling these very specific grounded stories about people changing their relationships, but it's doing it in a really shitty Image Comics kind of way from 1998. And I hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it.
I'm so bummed.
It went from articulate and very so what I'm looking for, like very realized and very mature to fucking look at this shit with the big smile and the eyeballs and muddy.
Yeah.
Like
it's a very character driven story too, and it's hard to reconcile that art with a very character driven story.
at least
I'm just-
I wouldn't have liked Jim Lee on it, but at least it would have made more sense than Liam
Would've been fine.
Sharp.
It would fucking Ryan Otley would have done a better job.
Yeah,
And that is just
Ugh.
absolute style, right? Like, it's not. I am not a fan of Liam Sharp's work, but I do recognize how beautiful it could be. There's even some panels in this book that are wonderful. He's not the right artist for this, especially after establishing language with another artist for 6 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rant
what a
over.
bummer.
Thunder rounds.
End of rant.
Regardless, this book is still fantastic.
Yeah, is it? Even with the art?
Well, it's a temporary problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the story was still good in these issues?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I still enjoyed
End
it.
of round.
I still
Sorry.
enjoyed it, but I was so
Ugh, that's
annoyed the whole
disgusting.
time.
Like, with a 12-issue, like, maxi
Right.
series,
Right.
just put it on, just hold it. Just hold
Right.
it until it's done. Fuck.
Like you know this is a trade
Well,
for
they
most
were
of
so-
its existence.
They
Yeah.
announced like 2 or 3 months ago. They announced like, oh, we're gonna bring in an artist, but it's not going to be any fill-in. It's specifically issue 7, 8, and 9 will be handled by Liam Sharp, so there's no more delays in the schedule. And Clayman will be 10, 11, 12 to finish off the series that he started. I thought that it was going to be more seamless than this, and honestly, issue 7 was more encouraging because it still felt like the same book. Then he fucking cranked it to 11, and issue 8 is not great.
So
Yeah.
annoyed. Anyway, fudge.
Buy this collected though, everybody. It's a wonderful story.
Refrigerator Full of Heads #1 from DC Comics. Part of the Joe Hill House label from DC Comics, the horror label. And I was very excited. I really like, so anyone who doesn't know, Refrigerator Full of Heads is a sequel to Basket Full of Heads. Which I have in trade paperback right here, which was by Joe Hill with art by Tom Feller. And just a delightful horror series, very much the vein of, I would say, the 90s Tales from the Crypt on HBO kind of vibe, which I grew up loving. And I was very excited about that. I love it. It's a nice little one and done, except it's not. It's not a one and done. Now it's 2. There's a second Refrigerator Full of Heads. And I was very excited about it. And then I went, and I looked at the cover and I went, oh, wait, hold up. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of names on this cover. Joe Hill's in there, but there's also some other names. There's like too many names.
He's in there real trickily too, right? He's in.
He is. He's at the top.
Font and color
He's not
as
in
the
there
other
at
ones.
all.
Yeah.
Joe Hill presents Hill House Comics, and I was like, who's Rio Ewers? Like, Tom Fowler, I know, is an artist. That's the artist. Who's Rio Ewer? Hold the goddamn phone. Is this written by Rio Ewers? Like, is Joe Hill not even involved in this? Eureka! Yes, Joe Hill's not involved. This is Rio Ewers wrote it, and Tom Fowler drew it, and I was like, oh, so disappointed. Much in the same way, I'm disappointed to hear that Liam Sharp was working on the Batman and Catwoman series. However, I sat down with an open mind and I read it, and had I not made that discovery before reading it, I would not have known reading it that it was not Joe Hill. This very much is in line with the original Basket Full of Heads, and it feels exactly the same in a great way. I think whoever readers is, I'm not even sure I'm saying that. I might be mailing it. Yours.
Ewers. I assumed Ewers also.
Yeah, but this was great. This was delightful. It picks up a year after Basket Full of Heads, and we have a different. Oh, I guess I should tell you what Basket Full of Heads was. So Basket Full of Heads was a story that takes place in a very small fishing island. Not Amity
Amityville.
Not Amity Island. Gosh,
it's called Brody.
Brody Island, which is very specifically a Jaws reference because Brody is one of the characters from Jaws. Jaws took place on Amity Island. This takes place on Brody Island. And we actually have a very specific reference to Jaws in this issue. And Brody Island, Maine. And this takes place in 1984. The previous story took place in 83. So basically, it was kind of a home invasion storyline, what seems like a home invasion storyline. And then the woman who's trying to defend herself against these criminals who have escaped from prison to come into the house to get something specific, she defends herself with an axe, a Norse axe, which is for some reason mystical in nature.
Most Norse axes.
If you cut off someone's head with it, the head remains alive and so it's a very kind of tongue-in-cheek, very silly, very violent horror story. And this is more of this. I thought this was delightful. I'm very excited to be back in this world, checking out what's going on with there's a dagger now instead of an axe. There's a new couple that we're introduced to, and we discovered that they also seem privy to the events of last summer and the axe in question. And then we have a whole thing where we actually have Jaws show up. It's definitely Jaws, right, Noel?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're going for. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're like, the mayor's worried about this great white shark. and then he's there in the story.
There's no subtext in this book. It's just all fucking text, and it's great.
Yeah.
No, you read
he goes, 20 feet long, some say. Beaches are closed because of it. Mayor Washington is just about having kittens. Said he'd have that big sumbitch caught by July 4th, but here we are 3 weeks later, and it's still out there. So yeah, it's definitely fucking Jaws.
I love this. Brian, you were going to ask me something?
You've read both this and Barbaric. Would you say in a similar vein?
In so much as the characters in the stories don't explicitly know what genre they're in, but they're almost self-aware.
All right. Yeah,
like they're almost
something
there.
JD said reminded he's like the tongue-in-cheek, over-the-top violence. I was like, oh, that sounds like Barbaric too,
Yeah. Like Barbaric was it was very explicitly Conan the Barbarian kind of mysticism, but all of the characters talked in a modern sense, and it was a modern story. This is much more like, here's all of these mystical horror movie tropes from the 80s, and they very much treat it as though it's serious, but through a lens of the 80s. So like this felt to me like watching Jason Lives for the first time. Everyone knows all the rules of said horror movie, and they uncover a thing, and then all hell breaks loose. It's funny, but it's also very brutal at the same time. It's that sweet spot of tone. Why horror fans love specific types of horror. And I was just so incredibly impressed that they like skated that line, because that's what I liked about the first one. It was an elongated episode of Tales from the Crypt. And again, also when I saw that Joe Hill didn't write this, he just kind of like signed off on it. I was just like, okay. Yeah. But it immediately felt like a cash grab in a good way. a cash grab sequel to a popular horror movie that surprised everyone. So you get a different creative team, a different director, a different writer, whatever. Just do something, and it just ends up being fun. Yeah, this was, and I love Tom Fowler. I've loved Tom Fowler for a while. Actually, I've gotten to the point where it's just like, where the fuck is Tom Fowler?
Yeah.
I think the last thing I saw him on was like a issue of Books of Magic that crossed over with Constantine.
With Constantine. Yes.
Yeah. But other than that, it's just like, where the fuck is Tom Fowler? And I'm so glad to see him here. Like, I can't remember I can't think of a time where I've seen him do full on gore. And I think he's very, very good at it. Like, very good at it. There's a scene in here where somebody gets shot in the face, and you see the piece of the face move against the splatter. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Like it's so well done. Pat, there, right? If you want to zoom in the bottom right, like his head is over here, but there's fragments of his face that go top left, and it's just so brutal, but so grotesque that it's comical. I guess. Like I loved this book.
I mean, I didn't really laugh at that panel, but yeah.
I didn't laugh at it, but Tom Fowler's style is very, it's very exaggerated.
Well, it's really interesting.
Do that.
There are a lot of times when I look at Tom Fowler art and I go, he looks like he would draw for Cracked magazine if given the chance.
Yeah. I could definitely see snappy answers to well, that's mad, but yeah. And also,
but he also adds a little bit on top of it. What's that?
Yeah. The final line is how to get ahead on Brody Island. Like that is it's so classic. It's cannot help but be self-aware. Like he knows that that's a hackneyed joke. It's cool. Not that that's the artist, but you know.
That's a Crypt Keeper pun.
Yeah.
Everyone is in on the joke. This book is spectacular. This might have been my favorite thing I read this week, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to have. I'm not going to read this in issues. I'll say it right now. I want this hardcover next to my Basket Full of Heads hardcover, and the 15 diminishing return sequels.
See, now
this should be a horror franchise. This is
Basket Full of Heads in the Hood.
Basket Full of Heads 4, or Basket Full of Heads in Space, or a spaceship full of heads. Like I want every version of this fucking story because it's awesome so far. It's
spaceship full of heads.
It's well done. You could tell when things are created by fans of a genre, not just somebody trying to imitate a genre for popularity's sake. Whoever Rio Ewers is, fucking gets it. He's got a Shudder subscription. He watches the same horror movies every Halloween. This is perfect. I loved this.
See, now you guys knew going into it what it was, right? I had heard of Basket Full of Heads, but I didn't make the connection. I've never read it. I also don't have the familiarity of the lexicon of horror movies that you guys do because I haven't seen them. And basically my one issue with it, and it wasn't a big issue, was I wanted a little bit more from the first issue to let me know what was happening, to give me just like a little something about what the story with these knife and the axe is. That can be easily forgiven knowing that it's a sequel to something else, right? Like that makes sense. But again, with the Norse stuff, I was like, "Ooh, wow, Norse axe, Norse knife, interesting." And whereas I'm not into horror stuff, this kind of thing is different. Like for all the reasons that we were talking about, you know, this is like vaudevillian horror. You know, this is like a romp. I also think it's interesting. So I didn't know what the axe did, right? Which would have been nice to know. Which would have been nice if they had found some way to include what that was, since
previously on Heads.
Even, I was going to say even a recap page would have been nice. I agree with that. Yeah.
Because the knife seems to do, or dagger or whatever, seems to do something else. You know, the guy is killed by it and he's still alive, but he's completely unable to. Yeah, he's completely incapacitated, cannot move or talk or anything. So it's like there's something happening with these weapons, and I don't know if they ever get into the whys of the weaponry or if they will in this. Yeah, no, it's just like this is the deal. This is it. Okay. Yeah. Which is fine. But I just like a little something more would have gone just a little bit farther for me. I also like the tease that they give with that couple that comes there ostensibly to finish her novel. Is why they're renting this place, but he's like taking down the license plate numbers of these motorcycles. Like, what's up? You know,
they immediately kind of like drop pretense of their cover and some like, especially when it's just like, well, let's go find whatever that is in that place. Like, it was set up like they're just going to be new victims of this plot thread, but then they immediately turn it into they are actually the instigators of resurfacing this plot thread. Like they will be the idiots that accidentally resuscitate Jason at the bottom of the ocean, or read the incantation that they're not supposed to, or like these are the assholes that start the sequel. And it's awesome.
It's interesting too how, given what you said about how the first one plays out, that this one starts in a similar way with this home invasion kind of thing, this pointed home invasion to steal this knife, but doesn't stay focused on that. Like I don't think you see that knife again for the duration of this issue.
No.
Yeah.
No, but it's got the same like etchings as the axe, and then also the guy the guy's still alive but dead. Like, man, if they again, I want this to be like 6 stories, sequels, and like a whole armory of different weapons, to the point where it ends up being like the Avengers of fucking mystical weapons, and all of these different factions
are fighting. Each do some crappy thing to the people that they kill or wound.
I love it. I want the next one to be about a crossbow that keeps people alive after it kills them. It's gonna be great. I love this.
No, the one thing I miss is that they did a really fun thing with the previous series, Basket Full of Heads, that they're not doing here, which are these title pages.
Yeah.
Do you remember these?
Yeah, I think it was just like an art.
Go ahead. Oh, and I just think it was more and more crazy with each chapter.
Yeah, like each title page kind of represented what was going on in the issue before. So like as the basket kept getting filled up, or they were on the water or whatnot, like the title page would be more intense. And no, they didn't do it here. But you know what? Wait, maybe they might do it in issue 2.
Yeah, they did
they
stick
have
with
it in
that
issue 1 already?
Location data stuff.
Yeah. But like this in Basket Full of Heads, it starts off with that. This is the first issue.
Well, then you know what?
Yeah.
Taking everything back. This book is garbage.
Fuck it.
That there was a
fuck this book.
There's a head at the bottom of the ocean in this one.
Yes.
I think you saw it as what's that?
That's from part 1.
Is it? Oh, that is an actual that's not just a head.
Oh yeah, all the stuff they talk about of the sheriff's boat burning and and the shit that they find in the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the water in the bay. That's all from part 1. It's literally all aftermath of the climax from the first book.
That's cool. And I wonder if that will be that a reference, like a sly nod, or is it we'll hear from that head. You know,
I think it's learning from that HUD. No, I think I took it as a frame of reference that this is a continuation of the first one, not that we will learn things from that head.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right.
Like it's a frame of reference more than it is a plot point.
That makes sense.
There he is. Also,
I hadn't really taken note of the fact that the knife thing happens far away from this island. Yeah.
I like, all tropey horror jokes aside, I think that they are setting up kind of a wherever these weapons came from, the armament that they all came from have been scattered, and maybe this will expand to be kind of bringing them or finding them, but like they are setting up a larger mythology while still maintaining the charm of the first series, and I just think that's great. Whoever Rio Ewers is, I will give them a blind read next time.
Yeah.
All right.
They've won me over.
Nice.
Yeah. In spite of me, don't be surprised if I fall head over feet.
I will not.
Nubia and the Amazons. #1. Nubia and the Amazons, #1 from DC Comics, written by Stephanie Williams and Vita Ayala, with art by Aletha Martinez. With the unexpected arrival of new Amazons, our hero, Nubia, is forced to reckon with her past and forge a new path forward for her sisters. Little does she know, a great evil grows beneath the island, and it's up to this former guardian of Doom's doorway to unite her tribe before paradise is lost forever. I I have not read that much Nubia. She is new to me, even though I know she's been around since the 70s.
Well, she was not like consistently around. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but she has existed. Yeah,
she has, but it's no fault of yours, I should say, that you haven't read much of Nubia. Yeah,
I appreciate that. And I keep dipping in because I, it was part of a future state, John. I read some of that, and I was like, oh, I don't care about this. And then this one was coming. I was like, ooh, I'm excited about this. And then I didn't care about this. This is mostly basically in the future state. She becomes Wonder Woman, but for right now, she's taking over as the Queen of Themyscira. And so we're getting okay, so I didn't know, first of all, that how Amazons became Amazons was that there was a well of souls. And
Not
basically
just some new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the original group was.
I was like, did I read something wrong? I think.
But then we get the way we pad our numbers.
Yes, exactly.
New recruits.
Yeah, is that women who die from violence, some women who die from violence are reincarnated from the Well of Souls. They arrive on Themyscira. They crawl out like the girl from The Ring. And that they start their new lives with no real of their previous lives. And there's like, you're here and it's beautiful and you've got freedom. We're going to give all of these tests immediately upon your rebirth. We're going to assess you physically immediately upon your rebirth, even though you have no memories and are probably a little confused. Get out there, grab a bow, and we're going to figure out. We're going to do our assessment. And then also there's this doorway, this Doom's doorway or something, doorway of Doom or something like that,
which is translated from Themysciran. So
yeah. So it's a spooky door. And they are guarding the spooky door. We're not sure what is behind said spooky door, but something spooky is behind the spooky door. There's some interesting stuff in here, but there was something keeping it from really involving me. I guess maybe I just don't care enough about Themyscira right now to be like, how the politics of Themyscira work and what you guys are up to over there. when I'm hanging out with Wonder Woman, I'm really into that for more of the super heroics of Wonder Woman than Themysciran stories, right? Except for the Brian Azzarello stuff, I thought he handled it pretty well. So I was really excited to read this, and then I found myself just being like, this is fine. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but what did you think, Brian?
I enjoyed it. I do like the Themysciran stuff, although it's not like a major draw for me. But as we've discussed multiple times already on this podcast, I like the mythological stuff, and their mythology of their own, a Greek, kind of thing. So I was intrigued. I don't think that much happened in this particular issue. That there was a lot of setup, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I wasn't bored by it by any means, but it certainly didn't just like get you into the story. It was a more or less regular kind of, here's some characters. By the end of it, we've introduced the thing that looks like it will be a problem. I'm intrigued. I don't think I've ever read a Wonder Woman or Amazon story that involves people who are new to the island.
Yes, I thought that was cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So I'd like to see where that's going. And apart from my review, one of these characters, it was noted by the author, is a trans person, a trans woman, who she said, the author said, they narratively didn't make it that obvious, for narrative reasons, didn't make it that obvious in this issue, but they also wanted it to be known, and it will become more of a thing in the future issues. But like, these people don't remember who they were, so
is that what the weird exchange is with Nubia and the new woman? Like, if you go back a couple pages, there's this like this. She
I didn't know what this was.
But then also makes allusions to, when are you going to introduce blah, blah, blah. But she's like, I don't know if I'm not worried about them. I don't know if somebody's ready.
I think it's a little further on when they were done their trials. I believe it's the woman who
welcome to, like, there's a stutter and I don't understand narratively why.
Same.
Oh, that is interesting. I didn't pick up on that, and that might have
I did.
something to do with it. Although, how would Nubia know? You know, like,
honestly,
yeah.
I do not know. Like, there's a lot of things in this medium that you can't necessarily translate without explicitly saying it. Like, if this was a film, maybe they can code it differently to try and introduce trans or queer characters. Whereas in print, you have to, you have less ways to code it and or show it. Like, you have to explicitly say it or explicitly draw it, and there's there's very little wiggle room in regards to context or clue, right?
Right, because like in that previous scene, like she's come back, she's in the this body. So this is actually where they say it, and if you know that's the case, it's more clear. And I had heard this before. She says, I don't know how to explain it yet, but this exact moment feels like my soul has desired it long before I came here. That person was a trans woman before having been
reborn as a woman.
Souls.
Yeah.
Or as
which I think is pretty cool.
Yes, Amazon. That's fucking rad.
Yeah,
like I would read that story.
Oh, and I think you're about to if you read the next several issues.
Cool.
Very
cool.
But I guess she was probably the author walking a tightrope of wanting to mention it, but also story-wise, this person doesn't know that they they feel like there is something great about them being in this body and something very correct. And maybe it could have been done in a different way, but I guess they're trying to introduce a lot of other story points too.
Yeah.
But I get the sense that is going to become a big part of the story going forward.
And I think a lot of the problems that I've had with trying to dip into the Nubia introductions of the past year is that the art has never been dynamic. I've never found the artist that's working on the series to be dynamic, and it doesn't really appeal to me visually as much. Like, if I'm going to be reading it, I'm definitely going to be reading it for the writing, the story. And the art is serviceable. I think it's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just don't find it to be dynamic or overly engaging visually. So
there's also a lot of people standing around in this particular issue. You know, they're being introduced, they're at a party, you know, there's not that much action happening in this issue.
Like, this is nice, this double page spread. This is nice. But the characters' faces.
Blood. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, this was like the second or third time we've mentioned it this episode. This felt like a precursor issue, a zero issue, a free comic book day issue that just does nothing but lay groundwork, but never actually gets out of Act 1. It's just a shit ton of introduction. None of it is disinteresting, but I don't know if it's utterly compelling enough to keep going. Now, you telling me about like the B plot of this trans woman being reborn, that's fucking rad, and I would read that. But all of this stuff in regards to the ones that watch the door and blah blah blah, and why is the well open right now? I don't know if that's like, super interesting.
Same reason it usually is in comics. you know, like whatever's coming through, it's the same kind of stuff that normally comes through a door.
Bad. Just bad.
So
like the plot mechanics do not interest me whatsoever, but some of the character dynamics could totally interest me. So I don't know. Like I would call this a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's interesting enough that if, let's say, Clay Mann were drawing this series, or Olivier Coipel was drawing this series, or Jimmy Chung, or one of my favorite artists, you know, one of my favorite contemporary artists, I'd be more into it. I'd be like, yeah, I'll read the next issue. But because the art doesn't bolster it any, it doesn't detract from it, but it also doesn't bolster it. I'm just kind of like, I'll wait to see if there's some good word of mouth.
Yeah, it's all serviceable right now. Yeah.
You know, I think it's interesting too that, speaking of story, that Nubia has been around for several hundred years, which I think is not something that this writer chose. That's probably part of, because she appeared like at the same time that Diana was made.
They bring it up in this issue.
They do. I mean, that's the only way that I know about it. I'm just assuming that was already part of her story. But But hopefully, as far as the art goes, once the story gets going and there's more stuff happening, and it's not just them talking to each other, maybe its serviceability will be enough. Yeah.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a 6-issue series, so it's another mini from DC.
You just hit on an interesting art choice too, to do that like charcoal sketch for.
Oh, that was cool.
Background, and that's an interesting character too. I think this woman whose job it was to welcome people from the Well of Souls, but it's
Balaga?
Been closed. I forget, but
Magala, yeah.
Magala, sorry.
The caretaker, Magala.
Yeah, who like Diana brings stuff from the outside world to, and then she for some reason gives them each like, here's a pen, here's a fortune cookie note, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like really fascinating or cool things that are tossed in here, but it's like it's a sum of its parts kind of thing. Like a lot of great parts, but the sum of it just still feels a little lacking. Which I think, to JD's point, I think it's something that like word of mouth will maybe discover for us. Like I'm not going to pull this. But if I hear like 3 issues from now, like you got to be reading that fucking Nubia book, it's amazing. Like I'll immediately jump in and believe people because I'm not like repelled by this. It's just like, all right.
I remember wondering also why. So Hippolyta became Wonder Woman in the Justice League, and she's off with the like story wise, she's off. Like that's why Nubia is Queen.
Become anything other than Windigo and got recruited.
I guess she's just Hippolyta, right? She's
just Hippolyta, like she's not Wonder Woman.
But I'm a little behind on that. But she left, right? And they did that in Infinite Frontier Zero, I think. And I remember thinking at the time, well, if Diana Wonder Woman is off the table, and you want to have Nubia around, why is she not in the Justice League? Why did you do this story mechanics thing?
The story reason? The story reason?
No. I mean, that
publishing-wise.
Publishing-wise, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Like, I know that they're... Yeah, I only know story reason. I enjoy what they're doing, though. Like, I like the idea of Hippolyta.
Actually.
Huh?
I don't know.
Which is it?
Yeah.
I just read like things. In my head it was always Hippolyta, but in Lovecraft Country, the character's name is Hippolyta.
Oh, interesting. And I think that is
am I wrong this whole time?
So.
Yeah.
Who knows? And however we pronounce it is not necessarily how they did several thousand years ago.
I liked at the end of what was it? Metal. Death Metal. Hippolyta, very much after the death of her daughter, was just like, I need to go figure out whatever the fuck she was smoking and whatever got her to where she is as a better...
Oh, like what's it about Amazon, man's world? That...
Yeah, as a better Amazon than me, I need to go find out what that is and then relinquish his Themyscira to Nubia.
Right.
Yeah.
And that also may be
that
why
story reason.
I
was like, cool.
Yeah. I mean, that is cool. That is a cool reason.
Now they're setting up like some previous history between her and Black Adam that I've never heard before, which is long-lived heroes, that fucking tracks a couple thousand years ago.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Anyway, that's one thing that I'm interested in about the Black Adam movie, that like, you've got all these Egypt characters together. But Kevin says, I've never been sadder an idea wasn't real. Nubia and Justice League. And I hope that the reason is because this story is going to be awesome and they wanted to do this with Nubia,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's equal. Like, put her on the Justice League, make her a fucking queen.
Right.
Like, I mean, in stature wise, I don't know if it's just one story right now is more compelling than this one. And maybe that'll swap.
And there also may be something more interesting about Nubia as Queen of Themyscira relating to these people coming out of the Well of Souls and the trans woman coming, being reborn in that body, coming out of the Well of Souls, and Nubia. I don't know if she at this point remembers her life before that.
Yeah.
I'm
curious about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious about does Nubia know who she was before she was born into?
No. but she might by the end of these 6 issues.
Well, yeah, because none of
that's
them do.
compelling.
So I think that's what's behind the door.
Oh.
Information or something that gives them information about their previous lives, which will essentially could destroy the infrastructure of Themyscira. It's no longer paradise if everyone knows what they were before or the Genefra starts. So you would not seed the previous lives of other people like 3 times in this book without it becoming some sort of plot point or
It's like the previous lives on the mantelpiece over here.
Yeah. It's Schrodinger's previous lives. Like you don't just introduce them and not use them. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Kevin is saying Nubia was also born of clay like Diana.
Oh.
Not in
this. But I believe it as far as, but I think they've changed that apparently because it pretty explicitly says she came out of the Well of Souls.
She came from the Well of Souls. Yeah.
Now it's possible that it maybe both of those things are the case, and she died and then was reborn.
So
she
right.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I was just like according to this comic, she's the last that has come out of the Well of Souls, and that was hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. It sealed itself off after spitting out Nubia. And just recently, now that she's become queen, it has started spitting out souls again, or humans. Or I should say,
there's a lot of
Amazonians
setup here.
Yeah. It's neat. Yeah, I just want a little bit more, maybe some action. And Todd Engel in the comments is saying, "Is Nubia fierce?" And I'm like, I don't know anything about Nubia. There's nothing in this series,
hard to say,
personality-wise, that really tells me anything about Nubia, or like why I should care about her, or what her personality really is, other than she's now the queen. I mean, she seems chill, but
she does. Queenly,
I don't really get much.
Royal bearing. I'll tell you, I am actually more interested in it now that we've been talking and looking at
there's nothing but potential here, guys.
Yeah.
This is all it's a excellent 0 issue. There's tons and tons of story threads that could be all interesting on their own. It depends on where this goes next. This is a mixed bag in the best way possible.
Yeah. But as someone with an 8-month-old and very limited to read things he wants to read, this is not on the top of my list. Like that's refrigerator full of heads, catching up on Brian Michael Bendis' actual Justice League. Like that's on the top of my. Like I'd like to do that. I'd like to finish Far Sector for God's sakes.
Oh, you didn't finish Far Sector? It was pretty good.
Oh, no. Far Sector's wonderful.
It's great.
I
leave for vacation on Sunday, and I know, right? It was just to set up the next piece.
I know.
I am committed to finishing this Batman omnibus that I started fucking forever ago. And I am 3 issues away. Yeah, I'm 3 issues away from finishing Snyder's omnibus. So I've been pushing through that because I'm not gonna I'm gonna bring tons. Actually, I was gonna bring that up if we were short on time, which we are not. But I need to bring books, and I have so much in my haven't read or want to read stack that it's almost becoming a source of anxiety. Like, what the fuck am I going to bring on vacation with me? So I might solicit your guys' opinions at some point.
Sounds good.
I'm not going full hardcovers for travel. It's going to be a lot of floppy trades.
Concern.
Maybe weight is a concern. Maybe I'm going to try and plow through trade paperbacks. I'm not going to.
Right. For anyone listening on iTunes, that was Noel pantomiming lifting something very heavy and then slamming it down because it's heavy. Yes.
Yeah, it's a huge one. So it's a big book.
Carl Carls and Jane Douglas commented in the comment section. Here is a horror film recommendation for you all to enjoy on Halloween. The movie is Tigers Are Not Afraid. I have seen Tigers Are Not Afraid, Carl Carls, and basically, it's I think it was 2017. It's sort of a fairy tale about these kids who are living in Mexico, and there's a lot of crime, violence, and everything. And it was really interesting. is a little slow at points, but definitely worth watching. Yeah. Anyway, tigers are not afraid.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh wow, nice.
How many tigers are there?
7.
Sweet. That's a good amount.
None of them express fear.
Oh,
Not a one.
Kevin says,
I love it.
he says, the to read stack anxiety, my old friend.
I mean, it's right over here. You want me to just grab some and you guys tell me which ones I should take?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
All right, vamp for like a minute.
All right.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, JD. You know what
I'm
I
not
like
great
to
at vamping.
I thought you were going to do like a Bela Lugosi impression. But you don't have to. What I like to do sometimes is count 1 to 60, where each number takes 1 second.
Oh my God.
I don't want to do it tonight. So
You're the worst.
I thought because Len, the cool one, wouldn't be here, that we would blow through all of these books. It's still been 2 hours.
2 hours of fun, of solid fun. Now, here's the thing. Noel's not going to be around next week.
Oh my God, that's true.
Yeah. We got to figure out who to talk to.
Okay.
Shit. Certainly not each other.
Never heard of him.
Grant Morrison.
Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham, horror comics.
Yep.
Extremity Volume 2, Daniel Warren Johnson.
I haven't heard of that one either, but he's awesome.
I read the first one forever ago. I honestly don't really even remember. Power Rangers, Soul of the Dragon.
Todd Angle, these are things that Noel already owns.
Yeah.
Although he's already read Stray Dogs.
Oh, okay, great.
I have, and it's wonderful. Everyone should pick it up.
Yeah.
Order it from
There's
your
a
local
sequel
comic
coming.
shop. Old Man Tommy Oliver? No? Okay. I have been reading
another thing.
the new run of Runaways.
It was yesterday.
Nice.
I haven't read it.
It's super good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Rainbow Rowell. Yeah.
The first hit of Black Cat.
Oh, I'm
Which I
sorry.
haven't read
Bring
at
up
all.
that Runaways again. Let me see that cover. Is that the cover I'm thinking of? With Gert?
Is it?
No, okay. There was I don't know, maybe it's not the cover of the trade paperback, but there was an issue recently where Gert, time traveling Gert, who's like in her 30s, is on the cover, and a gentleman was in my shop with his girlfriend, and he's just walking around. He's not really paying. He's very clearly is like not super into comics, but he's the kind of like taking it all in, and he's looking, and he walks past the new wall, and he does this. Oh shit, she thick. Who's this? Who's like staring at Gert, and he's just like, oh, she thick.
I know exactly what you're
Like
it's the cover of the 6th trade, which is the end of the run.
Is it?
And it's just her from behind walking into a portal, and it's all ass.
And she is thick with 2 C's. But like he actually did like the I'm passing it. Hold on, it's grabbing my attention. I'm backing up and I'm looking closely at it. It's funny.
I like being in the
correct.
perspective of the comic in that one.
Ooh,
Dummy
Yeah.
thick.
dummy thick. Yeah, Kevin says dummy thick. That's exactly what he meant. I'm going to continue, Noel.
Magic Order.
Oh wait,
I've been wanting to
Miller?
read that.
Black Cat. I have
Oliver-
something to say about.
Olivier Coipel.
Oh, that looks cool. I have no idea what it is, but it looks cool. The Black Cat
Maybe
was, if it's the same creative team, that was, I think, the best King in Black tie-in. So that's
yeah.
like,
It was
Okay, so
good.
this is the series that led up to that. So like
Oh, okay.
I got that it's Jed McKay.
oh.
Yeah.
So
was
it is
that
the
who
same
did that?
run. It's just the
Okay.
beginning of it.
Okay.
They did a surprisingly great job with Black Cat. I was not anticipating caring.
That's what I keep hearing. That's why, I was thinking of this.
And
Die,
you
Die,
like
Die.
that? Rick? Was that? Die.
I love Chris Burnham,
All right.
but all right, maybe.
What else you got?
I got Usagi Yojimbo. I just keep circling, trying to read it, maybe reading it. We'll
Not
see.
associated with the Ninja Turtles.
It's good.
Ish.
It's
Is
a
he
little
ish?
repetitive.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The
But
art's wonderful.
I mean it's a classic. Usagi.
Oh, it's the original one.
No.
This volume is.
Yeah,
That's called
So
Origins. Is that okay?
this is the recolored original.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or colored
Yeah.
original. So IDW purchased all of the, the rights to publish all of the old Fantagraphics stuff from 37 years ago. And they're reprinting it in full color with Stan Sakai's blessing and direction.
That's cool.
So it is,
Give us a flip.
This is 35 years old.
Oh yeah.
But it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is simplistic.
Oh, but that is a high emblematic of that time period indie comics like drawing style,
Yeah, and so like they've Fantagraphics themselves are still reprinting this in like very large black and white whatever, but IDW has been putting it out in issues monthly.
Oh, cool.
Recolored.
It's pretty cool.
Like, slowly.
I didn't know that's what was coming up. I thought that was new stuff.
It's both.
Oh, it is.
IDW
Both.
is like Stan Sakai is doing news stories, and at the same it's like bi-weekly Usagi. You get
cool.
like 1 week you get a recolored classic story, and then 2 weeks later you get a brand new colored story.
That's cool. Is there a noticeable are they done in a very different style, like art wise or anything? Yeah.
If anything, from my understanding, it's the most consistent comic booking in history.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Like it for better or worse, it never changes. Right? What's
my god. Well, I was behind the scenes here thinking my thoughts, and I was going, man, I don't know how much Stan Sakai makes. It's an indie comic, and it's not even like an indie comic that is a household name. And I was kind of like, man, I hope that Stan Sakai is living comfortably, because he's been doing this for such a long time and he's so good at it. He's found his like niche and he's made it work. There was a time he had an action figure from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 80s, or I guess maybe late 80s, early 90s. What?
There was an action figure?
Yeah, because I had it and I was like, I thought that Usagi was just a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character that I didn't really know about. Like I missed the episode that he was in.
Right.
But yeah, he was one of the turtle action figures, and it wasn't until much later that I was like, oh, he's not related to the turtles at all. And anyway, so I googled Stan Sakai net worth.
How's it going?
It looks like it's about, and I don't know, it's a website, networthroll.com. It might be bullshit, but $83.5 million.
That's a lot.
He's a big deal.
He also has significant real estate holdings.
The fact that
he's in the mob.
He's been doing this one thing for a very long time.
Yeah.
And still is consistently working at the same thing monthly. Like, he's got the work ethic of like Darwin Cook. I remember Darwin talking about how I write and draw a book a month, and they're like, how do you fit it in? How do you do it? I do the work. Anyone that tells you they're having trouble doing a monthly book, they're not working.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
he said in between a cigarette and a 2 fingers of scotch.
I was gonna say, like, I'm always drunk, I'm raspy, and I'm working. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Do the goddamn work.
Wait,
swear to me.
Has he been producing Usagi stuff?
Old Man Hawkeye?
All along.
Still going.
Old Man Hawkeye, okay.
There he is.
It's Marco
Older
Cicchetto.
than you remember.
I do love Cicchetto.
Jason Aaron's Hulk Run, which I've never read.
I want you to read that and get back to me.
Oh, yeah?
Really? Oh,
yeah.
You're not
like, it's fucking weird or bad or problematic or what?
You read it and get back to me. You let me know.
This is going on the yes pile.
Yeah, that's a yes pile for sure.
Now, you want him to do his book, right?
Yeah.
Reckless. Of course, Reckless is on the read pile. Of course.
And I'm going to continue Fables. I'm going to bring Fables with me.
Oh wow!
Do you have
the
second trade? Yeah, somebody in one of the Facebook groups was selling it for $25. Already read because
the omnibus,
the compendium.
Oh,
the $60 compendium that's out of print now.
Nice.
I was like, you know what? That's a reader copy. I will take that to the beach. I don't care about that.
I'm starting to think
I will read those copy.
Out.
I was gonna say I've gotten about 8 or 9 chapters in. It's delightful.
Oh, nice.
It is. It is.
It's pretty good.
My problem is that
Like,
for me, it diminishing returns.
I have heard that as soon as they handle the adversary arc, which is like the second compendium around like issue 75 or 80, you could go away.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Whereas it continues for another 100 issues.
Here's the thing with Fables, and I'm not going to say these words. I'm not going to say it out loud. I read the first volume at the request of a friend of mine, and I read the first volume, and I called them up and I said, "Hey, the adversary, who is only referred to as the adversary, is it blank?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "Is it supposed to be a surprise that it's blank?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm good." Like the fact that I figured out the 75 issue adversary in trade one.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah. So I knew it when it happened. Like I paid attention to comics in general, and I remember when they revealed it. All right. No, I didn't guess it because I wasn't reading it. I didn't get, but I remember they revealed it. But I'm not reading the book, so I dropped it out of my head. I don't care. About 5 or 6 issues into this, I was just like, is it that? Yeah, no, yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. So I'm not reading it for the reveal anymore. I'm just kind of like enjoying the characters, and it's nice.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, so obvious that I must be wrong. That's why I asked my friend, I'm like, it can't be this person, right? And he's like, yeah, it is. How did you figure that out? And I'm like, really? And so generally, if I feel like I'm smarter than the thing I'm reading, I lose interest.
It's
and I'm not that smart. That's not me saying that I'm smart. That's the thing. Is like I am so not smart that if I'm smarter than the thing I'm reading, I'm like, oh, what's the point? This is dumb.
It's telegraphed really, really hard in the way that the adversary accumulates and dispatches his armies.
Yes.
Sorry, their armies. And you're like, well, what mythical character or what literary character can do that? So you're like, yeah, obviously.
Super easy.
It's cool though. Like what I enjoy the most about it thus far, and those that have read Fables allow me to indulge in the shit that I didn't know for 10 years. Just relax.
Oh, yeah.
What I like about it so far is that all of the variations of Jack are the same person.
That's cool.
So Jack Be Nimble is also Jack from the Beanstalk, is also Jack that put his thumb in a pie. Like it's Jack that is just like fucks up for hundreds of years.
That's cool.
And it's all the same one. Prince Charming is the same Prince Charming. He's the same like toxic asshole that married like 4 or 5 different princesses in different stories.
So good.
So what they're doing, like they're consolidating all of these literary stories, these fables into like one part of a character, and because they've all lived for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, it tracks that they could have separate adventures over different eras. So it's really fucking cool. And the idea too that when they do enter the mundane world of the Mundies,
someone's got a case of the Mundies.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's this Brian, I don't understand. You would fucking love this so hard.
Yeah, you should read it. There was something I read that I was like, oh, Bill Willingham, I'm not super into him. And then other things I read that I was like, oh, Bill Willingham's pretty cool. And the more we've talked about this over the last few months, I'm like, I should probably give Fables a try.
Every time I like kind of whisper that I'm starting to read Fables in the group chat, Patey jumps in with just like the greatest thing I've ever read and like goes hard on it. Like, all right, I got it. I'll read it. But that is coming with me. That's a plane trip.
You know, Mundi is Latin for like this world or something like that. And that's why Monday. I just think that's an interesting etymological thing that like it came to mean boring because it's just of this world. It's not something else. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah. And then I've got some stuff on my iPad that I will probably bring with me. Like I want to catch up on Star Wars.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, War of the Bounty Hunters. I'll try and read through that. I've already told my wife I'm just going to be drinking things, eating things, and reading at the beach or the pool. Just that's my vacation, and she's down.
Nice. Cool. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll be changing diapers.
I
Mostly
mean, I
for
might be
your
changing
son,
diapers
right?
too.
The baby.
Yes,
My
and also
butt.
for my son. I'll be changing my
Right.
son's diapers as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you even change your own? You just shitting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's
You
the
should-
point
you
of a
should-
diaper
you-
if you got to change it every other day?
I know, right? They should be meant to last. They should
Exactly.
absorb better.
Yeah. Like a still suit.
It's 11:22, and I have to get my orders in by midnight. So,
Oh, very good.
love you guys. Everybody out there, I love you as well. This was great. This was awesome. A lot of comments in the comment section. Please join us again next Monday at 9 p.m. where Noel will not be joining us, and it'll be me and Brian and I don't
Maybe
know.
A surprise guest. A surprise.
Maybe not.
So
Yeah.
right now.
If you guys go, I mean, I'm only going to be like 3 hours in the past. I could probably just like pop in and be an asshole.
Well, we don't
Nice.
spoil anything for you.
I'm actually I'm gonna buy comics this week for like the plane. So just
It's
depends.
true.
Well,
All right,
we
guys.
don't want to
Love-
trod on your vacation, but we'd be happy to have you, of course, as always.
I do want to try on this vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, JD does want to. Never mind. I can't speak for him.
Okay, I'm getting that out of here. Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.